Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm here with Space Lasers, and we are ready to do. I have my own camera now, so I get to have my own audience over here. I'm here with Space Lasers, and we're here to do our what number podcast is this? It's like number 10.
Should be the sixth or seventh.
All right,
Sixth, I think.
Number 6 podcast, and today we're here to talk about a song that's a little like off the beaten path with your album, Ties That Bind, a little bit more in the poppy genre, whereas I feel like you guys like lean in the funk direction, and so we're gonna dig into it a little bit. So one, like listening to this song, it feels like it's a song about letting go and being free. So I'm gonna read some of the lyrics here. If you're feeling frightened, step into the light. Soon you'll be enlightened. So just want to know, where did that song come from? What inspired those lyrics?
So there was a specific day that encouraged this, where I was having a hard time. Here, this is Puddles over here. Figure I'll take off his collar here. This is my little boy.
Always a dog appearance in the podcast.
Of course. So basically, this song is kind of about processing trauma a little bit, and I had gone to Virginia. I think it was the first time that we had played a show together as Space Lazers, like well before we started recording, and we, as a band, were staying at a house that I had lived in previously, and it was a house that I had lived in with my brother, who's passed away. And I think that it was a time where we were having let's say we were having a experience or a journey or a trip. And I was having a hard time because there were so many emotions in that house for me. Because it was a house that I lived in with my brother who had died pretty recently. And I felt like I was just getting to know Mike and Tom, and it was something I couldn't really share with them at that time. And in fact, I don't think I've ever explicitly talked about this.
First time I've ever heard the story.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
you remember you coming out of the garage and talking?
Yeah,
about
a little bit. Yeah, I did. That's right. I did tell Tom. So it was just being in that house, seeing all these photos and having all these memories, and I was just like in tears, just having a hard time. So.
Which is interesting because the song itself is so upbeat and happy, but it's
but it's about needing a friend and about not being afraid and everything is going to be okay. But it's also about the excitement of that journey and getting through it. Yeah.
That's amazing, and it's just like that. Something like that can come from those types of feelings.
Yeah. I think this is kind of a bookend song to Colorblind. It's like both of them came out of the same day. And I think that this one was more about the terrifying aspect of that day. And, and you think Colorblind is more about the trying to hold on to that new perspective of life. Whereas this one was about the being in the middle of it.
Right.
And so I think
and kind of embracing it, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So, but musically, though, I'll say, this song is left field for Space Lasers. There's, another song on the album that was like the first song I'd written. I felt like when I first met up with these guys, I kind of had to change a little bit to fit in. Mm-hmm. And this is the song where it's the least Space Lasery. It is the most me prior to this band,
Got it. So you do see a little bit of that difference, and I think that that was really my next question. Just so not knowing the background of how deep this song goes, how do you instrumentally follow that? Just knowing the lyrics, knowing at the surface level what it is.
Well, we are probably, unfortunately, very unquestioning about these things as they happen, right? Like, I was just like, oh, those are some cool lyrics. They seem to work, so I'm not like...
So this is like the therapy session, right?
Right, yeah. This is not the first time that's happened in this podcast, because we always end up talking about these lyrics and everybody's like, what? Yeah. But, for me, Andrew comes to me with the chords and I'm like, okay... I don't remember if I came up with the piano line at the beginning.
You did, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just like, I just took the chords and I thought, okay, what's the beat? What's the rhythm? Like, how do I fit that in? And it's basically all I was thinking at the time, you know?
Right. I think I initially had it as like a guitar thing since I'm a terrible piano player, but I knew like it was so conventional, and then Tom came up with this sound that was very much like Christine McVie, Fleetwood Mac, like You Make Love and Fun piano.
It's a Rhodes with some drive on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that changed the whole vibe.
Well, no, I'll say I think a lot of it is like we just listen to each other.
Yeah.
And I think, especially for this song, Andrew had like a sound or a thought in his head of like how he wanted to like hear the drums.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with like my own take on what this would sound like, and then I think it was probably like eighth notes or something, and then I remember you were like, no, I want like a 16th note, like a disco-y type of like hi-hat / snare sound, and so it just kind of like went from there, and it's like, where can you add accents and stuff? So I think the vision of the song is kind of what its initial intent was, where of a lot of the songs they'll kind of morph into like a monster, and just this had a clear path, I think, and a clear sound that Andrew had wanted, and then I think we kind of made it fit, like the little things we could add, let's fit those, and the things that kind of didn't fit the song or the nature of the song, it's like, okay, we can save that for another thing.
Yeah, and I tried to kind of throw in some things that would make it more space lasery, more jazzy, more complicated. So in the guitar solo bridge, it like goes through all these different keys and modulations, and I thought that was like a little nod to like, all right, let me throw in something that Tom would appreciate here, something a little spicy in the chords.
Well, something I like about it a lot that I don't think I noticed it recently, and it's the end section, how there's the harmonies that bring in the final section.
Yeah.
And then the rhythm goes to this like swing halftime sort of thing, and I was like, I never really noticed that. That's pretty cool. Like,
yeah, that was a matter of contention between Mike and I. I wanted to murder Mike for a little bit because he kept on wanting to swing.
I don't remember any of this.
He kept on wanting to swing the final chorus, and I was like, just play it straight. And I was like, can you at least like maybe just keep straight time on the hi-hat? And he's like, I am. And I went in there and listened. I was like, oh, it's not coming through in the recording, but he's holding it. Like, and what I was hearing in the room was different than what I heard in the recording. And then we got our final mix back from our friend, your friend, Cisco. I could finally hear that like straight hi-hat and Mike swinging against it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's perfect. That's good.
Yeah.
But
and this is what I love. Like, you guys just blend it all together, and you bring your own perspectives and personalities.
Yeah.
So it does become a blend. Like, it really has like its own personality.
Yeah, I wanted to murder Mike for a little bit. I was like,
I mean,
just
who doesn't?
play it straight. But he heard the walking bass line as a swung walking bass line. Yeah.
I'll sit on you, Andrew. Well, no, it's interesting though that you say that, because there is moments in music where you're just like, this is what I feel in the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that at all. I don't remember the conversation. I remember having a couple pointed conversations about what Andrew wanted on drums for 2 specific songs. Yeah. Bezos being one of them, I believe, and then this one. Yeah. But I do not remember the little nugget to end the song, so I have my little touch.
Yeah. Well, I think we kind of got to a compromise where all the other choruses were not swung, or you just started adding a little swing on the second one. So it kind of ended up perfect, because the song, every chorus is a little different, and you're bringing a little bit more swing feel. By the final chorus, it's like the most swing, and it works. But yeah, initially when I had that walking bass line, there's a Foo Fighters song called Next Year. They made a music video for it, and it's off of their third album, the first album they have with Taylor Hawkins on drums, right? And it's a very straight song, but has a walking bass, and I was like, that's what I want for this chorus. And so I had that in my head, and so Mike's change to the way the drums were made it so it wasn't a rip-off of that. So if anything, you drove us into doing something a little more original. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I have one last question for you guys,
Sure.
and this is back to band therapy a little bit, but
Yeah.
kind of apropos based on what you just shared. So, as musicians, what were the ties that bound you coming into this band? Like, what did you have to let go of to become Space Lasers?
To let go of?
I will say what's kind of interesting. This is I'll do this. I'll say this for Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, I saw
that. No, because this is something that I think we did as a previous band. is we would like just go on tangents, or specifically Tommy would just go ham. And I think the biggest thing, and to a certain extent probably myself, is we stick to structure way more than we probably had done previously, especially with this song. This song is a structured song front to back, and a couple of like the previous ones too, where there is no room for, and you'll see in the next coming podcast that that's not the case for some of them. Yeah. But there's definitely more structure to some of the songs that I think I would say they were just written with purpose.
Yeah.
And I would say the opposite.
So sorry, Tommy, for taking the mic.
Yeah.
What a diva.
I was just excited that you had something so exciting. You were like, yes, give me that.
Yeah. No. Well, and I'd say the opposite for me. Like all the bands that I've done in recent history have been so structured and also so conventional in harmony, where I think that this band has pushed me to be more adventurous harmonically and structurally, where, in the past it was, no key changes in any song ever. No, even like borrowed chords, nothing really adventurous, because it's like, no, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. And, and I think that now I'm learning, hey, I've learned all the rules. Let's start breaking the rules. And this band for me has been about like learning how to break the rules. Yeah.
That's really crazy, because mine is kind of the opposite, right? Where I've just been like, fuck rules for like the last 20 years as a musician. I've just been like, let's be as weird and out there as possible. And then now I'm starting to like see the value in reining it in, It's kind of like what Mike was saying, more structure and more thoughtfulness about, what leads to the next part, which leads to this, which, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like going on through it.
But yeah, in previous bands, I've always been the person reining people in, because they're like, oh, Andrew knows a lot of music theory, which now I know how little I know, being in a band with Tom and just all the music that I'm being exposed to. But it was always like, oh, here's this idea, and I'd be the one who was like the cop on the beat, like, no, that doesn't work. Let's structure it this way. Let's do it this way. And now I'm more like, no, let's follow that. Let's figure out how that makes sense. And there are a few songs like that we've got in the oven where I'm like, I know it works. I still want to know why, but I'm not going to veto it. I'm going to ride this out and see where it goes,
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's good. It sounds like you guys just really balance each other. So it works here.
Yeah.
Well, go see or listen to Ties That Bind. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your music, and give it a listen.
Thank you, Ashely.
Thank you, Ashely.